You know that feeling that no matter how hard you try, your life just doesn't move? Money doesn't flow, relationships don't evolve, and everything feels stuck. And then you ask yourself, why? What am I doing wrong? Here's an uncomfortable truth. The answer is not out there. It's inside you. And it has everything to do with a habit so subtle, so silent, so invisible, that most people never realize they're doing it. But it's there, running in the background, freezing your life, your results, and your entire reality. And let me give you a very serious warning. What I'm about to reveal might be uncomfortable. It might hurt, because maybe you'll discover that it's you who's been secretly keeping your life stuck in the same place. But here's the promise. If you have the courage to see this, to understand this, and most importantly, to apply what I'm going to show you today, you have the power to unlock your mind, shift your vibrational field, and activate a new timeline. Stay with me until the end, because besides revealing what this hidden habit is, I'm going to give you the ultimate key to unfreeze your reality and consciously create the life you desire. Pay very close attention. What's coming next has the power to change everything, absolutely everything. If deep down you feel like there's something invisible blocking your life, if you know you were born to live something much greater, this video is for you. The quantum mirror. Now listen very closely, because what you're about to understand has the power to forever change the way you see your life, your challenges, and, above all, your own creative power. There is one of the greatest illusions humanity carries. The illusion that life happens out there, that reality is something external, separate, and independent of who you are. And as long as you stay trapped in this belief, you will constantly feel powerless, frustrated, and stuck. Here's the truth that few have the courage to face. Nothing, absolutely nothing, is happening outside of you. Everything you call life, reality, is, in fact, an exact, precise, mathematical reflection of your vibrational frequency. Your life is a mirror, but it's not an ordinary mirror that reflects your physical image. It's a quantum mirror that reflects your vibration. It reflects your dominant frequency. It reflects what you consistently observe, what you most strongly feel, and above all, what you believe to be true about yourself, about the world, and about how life works. And here's the crucial point. The quantum field doesn't give you what you want. It gives you who you are energetically. In other words, it doesn't respond to your conscious desires, your surface wishes, or the affirmations you repeat once in a while. It responds faithfully and mathematically to your vibrational signature, to your most dominant state of being. Imagine standing in front of a physical mirror. If you want the reflection to smile, you have to smile first. Sounds obvious, right? And yet, in the game of life, most people do exactly the opposite. They look at life, see scarcity, difficulties, and challenges, and expect the reflection to change by itself. They wait for the money to come, the love to arrive, the luck to appear. Then they'll feel good, confident, and at peace. But it doesn't work like that. The mirror of life has no choice. It only reflects. If you vibrate fear, it shows you more reasons to feel fear. If you vibrate scarcity, it delivers more experiences of scarcity. If you focus on lack, on the problem, on the difficulty, that's exactly what the quantum field mirrors back to you. As simple as that, and at the same time, unbelievably powerful. And maybe now you start to realize why your life often feels stuck. Why, even wanting change, you remain trapped in the same cycle. Not because life is punishing you, not because something is sabotaging you, but because the field is simply delivering exactly what you vibrate, what you feel, and what you consistently observe. Life does not deliver what you want. It delivers what you believe, what you validate, what you sustain vibrationally. This is why people who desire prosperity but keep vibrating fear, worry, and anxiety when looking at their bank account continue getting more of the same. The field doesn't read your wishes. The field reads your frequency. And yes, this may feel uncomfortable, and it is, because it means recognizing that, in some way, you created the current scenario of your life, even unconsciously, even unintentionally. And the mind reacts to this. It resists. It wants to blame the government, the economy, family, the past, your partner, bad luck, anything but itself. But here is your liberation. If you created it, you can uncreate it and create it again, consciously, aligned, vibrationally coherent. Because listen closely, the quantum mirror has no choice. The field has no choice. Reality has no choice. It simply reflects. And when you change your vibration, when you change your observation, when you shift your inner state, the reflection inevitably begins to change. It's not luck. It's not magic. It's not a miracle. It's physics. It's vibrational mathematics. It's applied consciousness. And this is the key few people know. And from now on, it's available to you. But if this already feels powerful, hold on, because what you're about to discover next is even more shocking. And it might reveal exactly why your life has felt frozen without you ever realizing it. The invisible habit. Now that you've begun to understand that reality is not external, but rather a reflection of your vibration, it's time to go even deeper. And here's where most people get shocked, when they realize there's an invisible silent mechanism running in the background, quietly freezing their lives. And that mechanism is called unconscious reinforcement of identity. Few people notice it, but every single one of us carries an energetic identity, a vibrational signature that was built over the years, through beliefs, experiences, conditioning, and mainly the way we were taught to perceive ourselves in the world. And what you've probably never noticed is that all the time, you're reinforcing that identity, even when you think you're doing nothing, even when you're saying nothing. There's an internal dialogue happening constantly, and this dialogue is not neutral. It's reinforcing, validating, and sustaining an image you hold of yourself. And that image is loaded with vibrational codes, with energetic information that the quantum field reads, processes, and reflects back in the form of material reality. And you know what makes this even more dangerous? The fact that it's invisible. It's those subtle thoughts that pass almost unnoticed. Those automatic emotions you no longer question, those comments you make about yourself, about life, about your abilities, without even thinking. And every time you say or think things like, "I'm just like this. Nothing ever works for me. I'm not good enough. It's always hard for me. These things don't work for me." You are, without realizing it, signing an energetic contract with that identity, and that contract is read directly by the field. And what does the field do? It simply responds. It simply reflects. It simply delivers what you are emitting as your vibrational truth. This painfully explains why so many people stay trapped in the same cycle, year after year. Because even though they want a different life, they continue being who they've always been, internally, vibrationally, in terms of identity. The real problem isn't in isolated thoughts. It's in the pattern, the repetition, the vibrational consistency that you maintain, often on autopilot. Because as long as you don't change your vibrational identity, the field cannot deliver a different reality. That would literally violate the laws that govern how reality itself operates. And maybe right now, you're starting to feel the weight, the depth, and the responsibility this carries. Because it means realizing that your life isn't stuck because of bad luck, punishment, destiny, or some universal conspiracy. It's stuck because you, often unconsciously, have been the gatekeeper of your own limitations, the warden of your own vibrational prison. And this prison has no physical walls, no chains. It's made of patterns, of repetitive thoughts, of recycled emotions, of habitual focus on lack, on problems, on difficulty. And as long as you keep validating this identity, the field has no choice. Reality stays frozen. Is this uncomfortable to hear? Yes. And it's exactly this discomfort that begins to shatter the invisible walls of that prison. Because real transformation only begins when there's first awareness. And now that you've started to see how this silent habit has been operating, day after day, within your field, the possibility to do something different is also starting to arise within you. Because just as you were conditioned to reinforce an identity of limitation, scarcity, and blockage, you can now consciously begin activating a new vibrational identity. But this is a process that requires presence, attention, awareness, because only those who become aware can choose differently. And here lies the most powerful point of all. When you change who you are being energetically, reality has no choice. The quantum mirror has no choice. It simply reflects. And if the reflection begins to change, everything starts to reorganize around you. Not as a favor from the universe, but as a natural, mathematical, precise response to your new vibrational signature. And if this already made you uncomfortable, get ready. Because what's coming next will show you the scientific foundation that proves that, yes, you are unconsciously creating your reality all the time. The science of observation. Now that you're starting to understand that your reality is a reflection of your vibrational identity, it's time to dive even deeper into a principle that is not just spiritual, but also scientific, proven by decades of research in quantum physics itself. And this principle has a name that is often ignored or misunderstood: the role of the observer. If you truly want to understand how your reality is created, you need to clearly grasp how the simple act of observing literally impacts the behavior of reality itself. This is not a metaphor. It's not a philosophical idea. It's physics. Multiple experiments, including the famous double-slit experiment, have shown that matter, at its most fundamental level, doesn't exist in solid form until someone observes it. Until the moment of observation, everything remains as a wave of infinite possibilities. An atom, a particle, doesn't have a defined position. It exists only as a probability, a possibility, a field of infinite potentials. But the instant someone observes it, that wave collapses. It ceases to be a possibility and becomes concrete reality. And this is exactly what's happening all the time in your life. The quantum field isn't just a distant theory applied in laboratories. It's the very fabric of reality, the space where all possibilities exist, waiting for a conscious observer to choose, through their vibration, which one will be materialized. The problem is that most people are observing, automatically and unconsciously, everything they don't want. They are observing lack, pain, scarcity, problems, difficulties. And while doing this, they collapse those same realities into the field daily. Your focus is a lens that chooses which possibility manifests. What you focus on grows. What you frequently observe gains strength. What you energetically validate materializes. And this isn't because the universe is punishing or conspiring against you. It's simply because this is the law that governs all of existence. Maybe you've never noticed, but every recurring thought is an act of observation. Every emotion you frequently feel, every belief you reinforce within yourself, every story you repeat about yourself, all of it is energetic observation that is precisely determining what you collapse as reality. It's like holding a flashlight in a room full of doors. Wherever you point the light, that door opens. The others remain closed. If you point your observation to the door of scarcity, that is the reality that opens. If you point it toward fear, fear manifests. But likewise, if you consciously start pointing your light toward the doors of abundance, love, expansion, those doors also begin to open. The field doesn't choose for you. The universe doesn't choose. You choose through your observation. And this choice doesn't happen merely at the level of conscious desire. It happens above all at the vibrational, emotional, and energetic level. That's why when you realize you've spent years unconsciously observing lack, pain, and problems, you finally begin to clearly understand why your life feels frozen in certain patterns. And this isn't blame. It's not punishment. It's simply how the law works. A law as precise as gravity. Here's a liberating truth. Your reality isn't happening to you. It's happening through you. And the starting point is your observation. So what are you choosing to observe every day? Which emotion are you sustaining the strongest? What story have you been telling yourself about who you are what you deserve, and what's possible for you, because this inner observation inevitably collapses into the mirror of life. And the moment you begin to understand that you're not a victim, not a hostage, not a mere spectator, but instead the observer itself, the very creator of your reality, something starts to shift. Because when you change your observation, you change your vibration. When you change your vibration, you change the field. And when you change the field, reality has no choice. It must reorganize to reflect your new vibrational signature. That's the law, and the law never fails. If all of this is making sense to you right now, drop a comment here. I am waking up. That way, I'll know this message is on the same frequency as you. And of course, hit that like button. Not only does it show me this content is generating value, but it also helps this message reach more people who need to hear this. And now, we're going even deeper, because there's a silent mechanism running without you noticing that keeps you collapsing the same realities over and over again. And that's exactly what you're about to understand now. The vibrational loop. Now that you understand the power of your observation and how it collapses realities in the quantum field, it's time to uncover one of the most subtle yet most powerful mechanisms that keeps most people trapped in the same experiences, the same problems, and the same repetitive patterns. This mechanism is what we call the vibrational loop. And believe me, it's operating in your life, often without you even realizing it. The vibrational loop is like an invisible gear spinning constantly, creating an energetic cycle that traps you within a specific reality. And the most surprising thing? Most of the time, this cycle isn't powered by conscious choices, but by automatic patterns, fueled by thoughts, emotions, and beliefs that feed each other in an almost hypnotic loop. Imagine waking up in the morning. As soon as you open your eyes, your mind immediately starts scanning for what's wrong. You remember the bills, the worries, the challenges, and without realizing it, you activate the same feelings of anxiety, fear, helplessness, and stress. That emotional state generates a specific vibration in your field, a vibration you've sustained thousands of times before, and it becomes, once again, your energetic signature for the day. The field, which is neutral, non-judging, non-questioning, simply reads this vibrational signal and starts reorganizing reality in coherence with what you are emitting. So you begin noticing more problems, more scarcity, more limitations, more challenges. Life shows you exactly what you're vibrating, because that's the role of the quantum mirror. The biggest problem begins when this external reflection returns to you as validation. You look at your bank account and say, "See? I knew there wasn't enough money." You look at your relationships and say, "Nothing ever works out for me." And that reflection goes back inside, generating more fearful thoughts, more insecure emotions, more internal confirmation of your own limitation. And without realizing it, you keep feeding the same vibrational field, which the next day creates the same reflection again. This is the vibrational loop, an invisible but extremely powerful cycle that keeps you spinning around the same experiences, the same results, and the same emotional states. And this doesn't happen because you want it to. It doesn't happen because you're incapable. It happens because, out of lack of awareness, you've allowed your unconscious mind to become the true master of your reality. The loop is powered by your own unconscious observation. Every time you observe the problem, feel the emotion of the problem, react to the problem, and mentally reaffirm that it's real, you are energetically reinforcing that cycle. And while that happens, the field has no choice. It keeps reflecting. Maybe you've never noticed, but the majority of thoughts you have today are exactly the same thoughts you had yesterday. The same worries, the same doubts, the same criticisms, the same feelings. And the most shocking part? This is not a coincidence. It's simply your vibrational field running on autopilot, sending the same signals to the universe, which simply does its job of sending back the reflection. And here's the irony. Inside this loop, people still believe they need to see something change externally before they allow themselves to feel something different internally. They say things like, "When I have more money, then I'll feel at peace. When I find a partner, then I'll feel loved. When things get better, then I'll believe. And it's exactly this mindset that keeps them stuck. Because the field doesn't respond to what you expect. It responds to what you vibrate, right now. And here's the ultimate truth that starts breaking this cycle. You're not trapped in reality. You're trapped in your vibration. And as long as you don't change your vibration, your observation, and your dominant emotional states, reality will continue, like a mirror, delivering more of the same. Not as punishment, not as bad luck. Simply because this is the vibrational mathematics that sustains the functioning of the entire universe. But just as this loop was created, it can also be broken. And it all begins the moment you bring awareness to what has been running on autopilot. Because awareness is the first step to transformation. When you notice, you can choose. When you choose, you start sending a new signal to the field. And inevitably, when the signal changes, the reflection must change as well. Because the quantum field has no choice. It only responds. Maybe right now you're wondering, if this is so powerful and so real, why am I still stuck in these patterns? And the answer to that is what you're about to discover next. The subconscious. If up until now you've begun to understand that reality is nothing more than a reflection of your vibration, and that there's a loop keeping you stuck in the same experiences, it's time to go even deeper. Because there is a layer, often ignored, that silently commands the vibrational field you emit every single day. This layer is called the subconscious mind, and this may be one of the biggest revelations for anyone truly beginning to understand how reality creation works. Because contrary to what many believe, it's not your conscious mind that's in control. It's not your declared desires, your intentions, or the things you consciously wish for that are sending the strongest signals to the quantum field. The one doing that the vast majority of the time is your subconscious. Studies in neuroscience, psychology, and even quantum physics applied to the mind have already shown that approximately 95% of everything you think, feel, and do is driven by subconscious patterns. Only about 5% or even less of your life is actually under the control of your rational, conscious mind. The rest operates on autopilot, ruled by programs installed throughout your life. These programs didn't appear out of nowhere. They were built during your earliest years. In childhood, you were in a natural state of deep hypnosis. Your mind was operating in slower brainwave states, highly receptive. In that state, everything you heard, saw, and felt was directly recorded in your subconscious as absolute truth. That's where the beliefs about who you are, what's possible for you, what you deserve, and how the world works were formed. If you grew up hearing that life is hard, that money doesn't grow on trees, that love hurts, that you have to fight hard for very little, guess what? That programming didn't stay in your memory. It became part of your vibrational signature. It became an energetic code that the quantum field reads without question and returns to you in the form of your concrete reality. Here's the tricky part. Consciously, you may genuinely want change. You may desire prosperity, love, growth, and expansion. But if, in your subconscious, the active programs are running on the frequencies of fear, scarcity, rejection, or unworthiness, then the reality that manifests is inevitably a reflection of those hidden programs. And this isn't punishment. It isn't bad luck. It isn't failure. It's simply the law working with absolute precision. The subconscious doesn't distinguish right from wrong, good from bad, what you want or don't want. It only runs what has been programmed. It functions exactly like software. If the program running says life is hard, it doesn't matter how many times you consciously wish otherwise. Your field will keep emitting that frequency. And the universe, faithfully responding to your vibration, will continue delivering more of the same. And maybe now you begin to understand why change often feels so hard. Why you try, you affirm, you intend, but life keeps reflecting the same challenges. It's because you're trying to change the reality out there, when the true code that needs to be rewritten is running quietly inside, in the subconscious. But here's the good news. The moment you bring this to your conscious awareness, you begin accessing your true power. because anything that was programmed can be reprogrammed. And the simple act of realizing that your subconscious is the one sending the most powerful signals to the field is, in itself, an act of liberation. When you understand this, you stop being just a passive observer of life and start becoming the conscious programmer of your reality. And the more you observe your automatic thoughts, your emotional patterns, your subconscious responses, the more you start to weaken the power they once held over you. What once seemed like an invisible prison begins, little by little, to dissolve. Because when you change the internal program, the quantum field inevitably responds. Reality begins to reorganize. Opportunities arise. The right people show up. Blockages begin to dissolve. Not because of magic, not because of luck, but because you finally stepped into your role as the conscious creator of your own life. This is true reality reprogramming, and it begins now with your awareness. The key: now that you understand that it's your subconscious constantly programming the quantum field around you, a nearly inevitable question arises. How do I change this? How do I break this cycle? How do I escape this vibrational loop that seems to keep me stuck in the same place, repeating the same patterns, the same challenges, and the same limitations? And here is one of the most liberating, yet most challenging answers you'll ever hear. Unfreezing your reality starts directly and non-negotiably by repositioning your consciousness. It's impossible to create a new reality while sustaining the same vibration, looking at the same problems, and reaffirming the same identity that brought you here. That's why the first and most powerful step is to take total responsibility for your own frequency. And this has nothing to do with guilt. It's not about blaming yourself for the reality you've created up to this point. It's about maturely, consciously, and powerfully acknowledging that if it was you, even unconsciously, who held the vibration that led you here, then it's also you who has the power to change the field that will take you to a new level of reality. Unfreezing your life doesn't happen out there. It begins exclusively within. It starts when you understand that it's not reality that needs to change so that you can feel different. It's exactly the opposite. When you start feeling different, vibrating different, observing different, reality reorganizes. Because reality has no choice. It never did. It's simply a reflection, a vibrational echo of what you emit. And this leads us to a profound realization, one that often feels uncomfortable for those still searching for external answers. The key is not in the money you want. It's not in the relationship you think you need. It's not in circumstances, conditions, or people. The key has always been and will always be in what you choose to vibrate. Because that is what activates in the quantum field the timelines where all those desired realities already exist. When you change your vibration, the universe has no alternative but to respond. The field is like a flawless software program that reads your energetic signature and, with precision, reorganizes matter, circumstances, meetings, and opportunities to reflect your new frequency. This isn't magic. This isn't mysticism. This is pure quantum mechanics applied to consciousness. And maybe now you begin to understand why so many people spend their entire lives trying to fix the reflection without ever realizing that the reflection is merely a consequence. They fight with their bank account. They fight with their relationships, with their health, with life. They try to force the outside to change without ever realizing that it all begins with what they're emitting, feeling, thinking, and observing as internal truth. And here is the key that breaks the freeze on your reality. You must consciously become the guardian of your own vibration. You must choose, moment by moment, which reality you want to feed. And this doesn't mean ignoring what's happening. It's not about denying the current reality. It's about understanding that it's a reflection of the past. It's the materialization of frequencies you sustained until now. If you look at it and continue vibrating the same reaction, the same fear, the same frustration, you perpetuate the cycle. But if you look at it and even then choose consciously to access the feeling of abundance, of trust, of gratitude, of expansion, even if there's no evidence yet, you begin to collapse a new possibility. Because the field doesn't respond to what you see. The field responds to what you vibrate. And in this exact moment, while you're hearing this, something very powerful has already begun to happen. Because by bringing this into your awareness, you've already started shifting your frequency. And that inevitably is already beginning to alter the field around you. Unfreezing your reality isn't an external event. It's an internal process. And it begins precisely at the moment you decide to be, feel, observe, and vibrate as someone who is already living the life you desire. Because when you change, reality has no choice. It must simply reflect who you have become. We've reached the end of our journey. And if you've stayed with me until now, know that this is already a clear sign that your consciousness is in a process of expansion, awakening, and reconnection to who you truly are. Now you know your reality was never against you. It has always been just a reflection, a quantum mirror that responds with absolute precision to what you vibrate, feel, and observe. And from this exact moment, the key is in your hands. You can keep looking at the old reflection, or you can start right now, vibrating as your new version. And if you've made it this far, I want to know. Type in the comments, I choose to activate my new timeline. This way, I'll know you stayed until the end, that you are committed and that you are ready to become the conscious creator of your reality.